Hello, it's iWebFox, and I'll be talking about the Alien franchise from Fox. So, I guess basically the story starts off with the Prometheus movie, which is not really that good of a movie. It is very beautiful, it has some interesting concepts and ideas, but the characters are horrible. The script is written horribly. And it's just not that good of a story, and what they do with the ideas that they built on in the original Alien movies, they sort of tear it down to build up new ones that can almost be good as the old ideas, but just totally destroys our hopes and dreams of the past. So, from that movie, we move on to the first Alien movie, a very classic movie, one I've seen many times, even once in the theater. I did fall asleep during it, but it was a midnight showing, and I've seen the movie many times, so I knew what was going to happen. The first Alien movie, I guess, is sort of a perfect movie in many ways. Not too many hiccups to mess with the formula. In its way, the director's cut is also very good too, even though it contradicts some of the stuff that happens in the original theater cut, which I guess can be argued to be the better of the two. The theater cut, that is. As you hopefully know, Ellen Ripley is the only character to survive the first Alien movie. And it ends with her drifting off in space on her way to the second Alien movie, Aliens. But in the story, about 10 years or so after the end of Alien, the story sort of continues in the just recent video game, Alien Isolation, where you play as Amanda Ripley, the daughter of Ellen Ripley. Ripley has been sort of obsessed with her mother's disappearance, so she's been working in the engineer sector out in the far reaches of space, close to where her supposedly mother was lost. It has come to known to her that Weyland-Yutani has found the black box to the old ship, the Nostromo. Well, not really found. Another company found it at one of their bases on the opposite end of the galaxy or something, and they told Weyland-Yutani that they had it. So Weyland-Yutani is sending a group, and they asked Amanda Ripley to come along, since not only is she Ellen Ripley's daughter, but she's been sort of continuing the investigation on this missing ship longer than they have, so she may have some insight and so on that they could use. On their way to the space station that's owned by this other company, accident occurs, and so anybody who survived got split up. It's a space station that's being decommissioned. Whatever is still working is falling apart. Amanda Ripley will find many threats around her. Amanda Ripley is there to find a black box for the Nostromo, but she also finds that there's a xenomorph running around from somewhere. Fully grown and is on its killing spree. It is unknown to me as of yet, because I've yet to play the game of where the xenomorph will come from, but I'm sure they'll probably explain it in the game. So you play as Amanda Ripley, and you have to watch out for the xenomorph, this malfunctioning, downgraded androids, and the surviving crew members who are paranoid because of the alien and of the androids, and also of other survivors who are also paranoid of so-so. So it's pretty much a no-win scenario for Amanda. Good luck to you, girl. Now fast forwarding to about 27 years or so later, about 37 years after the end of the movie, we go on to the novel Alien Out of the Shadows. Now this book just came out last year in 2014 as part of a trilogy, sort of in the gap between Alien 1 and 2. Out of the Shadows here, like I said, takes place 37 years after the end of the first Alien movie, where Ellen Ripley wakes up to find herself on a ship that has its own alien problem in another part of the galaxy. So she has to live pretty much this whole nightmare again with a new, fresh crew members who don't really know what's going on and are trying their best to stay alive. It was a pretty good read, except for one typo from the beginning to the end of the book that makes the book a little bit unreadable. But it has a lot of good alien elements to it. The thing is, there's a lot of callbacks to the first movie, and they take little bits and pieces from the future movies, 2, 3, and I think a bit of Resurrection too. Since in the second movie Ellen Ripley doesn't mention anything in this book is a bit pointless. I mean, there's a few good ideas and points to it that I did enjoy, and I like that they expanded on and also brought up. But the thing is that I doubt that they would even go back to it. At least not in the movies in any way for sure. But, like I said, this is a trilogy. After this book, it's followed by the Sea of Sorrow, which takes place on the same planet as this book here, but several years later, where apparently Weyland-Yutani decided to start terraforming it. And shenanigans happen and aliens are running loose, I guess. I don't know, that's about as much as far as I got into it because I didn't want to spoil my reading of that book, and I've just finished reading this one. Well, technically I'm halfway through the last chapter, but from the looks of things, it's all wrapped up. Not in a pleasant way. And then the third book is called River of Pain, which takes place right before or at the beginning of Aliens, where the citizens of Headley's Hope on the planet of LV-426 are trying to fight off the alien hordes as they're killing them all. I doubt that we'll learn much new from that book, but it'd be, I don't know, I guess an okay read. Along with Alien Isolation, these 3 books in this trilogy are canon to the Fox movies. So, Fox approved, so this is the official stuff. You can't deny what happens in these books or in the Alien Isolation game. Even though I have read online at the end of Alien Isolation that the ending sort of contradicts something that happens in Aliens. So I have yet to play, like I said, so I'm kind of curious what might happen there. I do like the fact that there is DLC for Alien Isolation that brings back all but 2 of the cast members from Alien to reprise their roles. I can't wait to play that and see how they look and sound after all these years. Well, they'll look like their computer graphics, but just the way they sound, it'd be pretty amazing. Moving on from the universe of Alien, we go on to Aliens, this first sequel. A great movie. I've seen it even more than Alien. I have so many lines I can quote. I just love the movie so much for everything it introduced, and it's just a great sci-fi / action / monster movie. It was last year, along with the trilogy of books and the new Alien Isolation game, that Dark Horse decided to do a reboot on their whole Alien and Predator comic book lines, doing an epic crossover called Fire and Stone. Although they released the issues in a major out of order, where you could read one and get the spoilers for another issue, it was somewhat of a success, I would think. Crossover officially starts off with, not released, but story-wise, with the Aliens 4-issue miniseries. Taking place at the beginning of Aliens, where Headley Hope is being overrun, few survivors escape to the neighboring moon of LV-223, which is the same moon from the Prometheus movie. They took some hitchhikers along, and they see what happens to that barren moon after so many years. I really hate these Aliens comics. I stopped after 2, and I totally regret it the minute I picked up 2 and paid for it. The story is a bit pointless and doesn't really add much. The art is horrible. All it does is sets up some elements for the future better stories in this crossover. And the characters, they're just pointless, sort of all one-dimensional. I really didn't like it. I'm going to sell my issue 1 and 2 here, and maybe one day I'll read issue 3 and 4, but I'm definitely not going to buy them when I do read them. In the Aliens comics, they show the survivors surviving the aliens' constant attack and the threats of the new planet, or moon I should say, that they're on. At one point it is revealed that there is still an engineer on the moon. He's sleeping, but he gets woken up, and it leads into the other comics that are coming up. The Aliens 4 issues take place a span of, I think, a few months or so, and it is over those few months that the Marines arrived on LV-246. After Aliens, things moved on to Alien 3, apparently officially. But 17 weeks after Aliens, reinforcements came in the form of Aliens Colonial Marines. Just a horrible game that came out 2013, I do believe. I mean, I like that they brought back 2 voice actors, and the environments and sounds are right, and things looked like they were supposed to, but the gameplay is horrible, the story is crap, the graphics are not up to par. It's really not a good game. And some of the DLCs aren't really worth it all, even if they are free when you buy it. That, yes, this game is also canon. So that means that Hicks does live. And I'm one of those people who actually didn't think that he would be alive. I heard that he was going to be doing some new audio for it, but I thought that would be for reprising some past lines, or, as they showed in the trailer, for the distress call. But no, he has full, boring, non-interesting lines. His character model doesn't really look like him at all. You know, it was just bad. I think the only one that looked right was Lance Hendricks' model of Bishop, where it does sort of look like him, but then again, he has that unique type of face. It does add a couple interesting new things to the alien mythos, but a lot of stuff is just copy, paste, and shoot everything that moves, even though, it's not really how the alien universe is supposed to work. It ends on a cliffhanger, which is just horrible, but it is canon, so it's official. Kind of makes me think that why didn't Weyland-Yutani send ships over to the neighboring moon of LV-223? I mean, even Hicks saw that those survivors went over to that moon. Then again, that was in a 5-page short story in a Dark Horse comic that was supposedly to help set up the events in these comics. But pretty much all that was Hicks describing all that happened in the Aliens movie before he got banged up badly enough where he couldn't talk. Well, fast forward until about 40 years or more into the future, we go into the Prometheus comics, where a crew of scavengers go to the moon of LV-223 in hopes to find the Prometheus and what was the remains of the leader of Weyland-Yutani, Mr. Weyland. Taking place about, almost 200 years in the future or so. They see how the world has changed quite a bit thanks to the lovely black goop that's known as the Accelerant now. Whole cavalcade of characters, or I should say red shirts, just waiting to be killed off to get a kill count going. I really do love the Prometheus series. The artwork is amazing. It has sort of a slight stylization to it, but it is very beautiful. Leagues above, fathoms, so much above of the Aliens artwork, where you gotta squint to see if they were really human or not. While as this, you can tell what everything is, and it is beautiful. We see plenty of new monsters and the return of xenomorphs, which I thought it would be better if the xenomorphs probably weren't in this comic. We just learn more about the planet itself. But that sort of works out a little bit later in this whole crossover event. Whereas the Aliens comics sort of place elements that help out with the crossover, this is where it actually starts and goes to the main event. Directly at the end of the Prometheus comics, we move on to the Alien vs. Predator comics. As what's left of the humans escape from the planet of LV-223, along with some xenomorphs in tow, predators come along and decide to have their own fun too. The artwork is quite good. It is pretty much almost as good as the Prometheus comics, just not stylized. It's sort of like a bit of a, it's a lot clearer in its own way. We learn more about the Accelerant. We see predators in action. Xenomorphs just massacring everything. If you read Prometheus, you gotta read Alien vs. Predator. And taking place right after the first issue of Alien vs. Predator, we jump to the Predator comic books. One of the characters from the start of Prometheus, all the way up to the first issue of Alien vs. Predator, decided to make a run for it as soon as the Predators got into action. What you didn't know was that one managed to sneak aboard his ship and forced him to turn around back to LV-223 so he could hunt that engineer that was running around. The artwork in these comics are not really that good. They're like a 4-year-old coloring a 5-year-old picture. Story isn't much, since most of the dialogue comes from one character and he's working off a predator who just does click, click, clang, clang. I'm not one who would demand a predator versus engineer fight, but I gotta say, seeing him fight was pretty hardcore in its own way. It does seem a bit uneven the way that they've had it up. If it was straight up predator and engineer, both armed toe to toe, that would have been very interesting, but this was sort of a bit uneven one way, then uneven the other way. The only things that this story would add to the Alien universe is that the predator that was hunting the engineer, he actually found signs of the engineer on other planets from other hunts, be it statues, images on drawings on walls, or images on computers of the engineers themselves, which must have intrigued him to hunt that sort of ultimate prey that's everywhere and has been around for so long. But besides that, there's not really anything else I liked about this story. I mean, if they done the Predator and Engineer fight differently, I would have said just buy that issue alone. But these are issues that I will be willing to let go, since the Prometheus and Alien vs. Predator comics that actually have story and add to the universe. And the comics all end with Prometheus Omega. This brings all the surviving characters back together in this one last issue. The humans from Prometheus, the Predator from the Predator series, the android from the Aliens vs. Predator, and even the aliens from the aliens. Of course. We learn the fate of the Prometheus, how the life of the planet has evolved, and how the characters can and will survive. Very beautiful artwork. I really do enjoy the story. A few nitpicks. One being that it was so easy to kill the alien queen. One knife into the forehead, really? And also, did the android really have to crash the ship into the planet? Couldn't he just kill the xenomorphs on the way down, or did you even have to kill them at all? The ending was a bit of a bummer, but the action and the story for the rest of the book was quite enjoyable. So next year we got Prometheus 2, continuing the story from Prometheus 1. There's also just a recent confirmation of a director for the 5th Alien movie, but there's rumors that that 5th Alien movie will totally cut out Alien 3 and Resurrection, which will throw Colonial Marines up into the air of how connected that will be to it. And I heard rumors, but I don't know of any confirmation yet, of a 4th Predator movie. That'll be interesting, and that's a series that can't easily come back. The only down notes for the Predator movies was the Alien vs. Predator movies. I mean, Predator 2 was good in its own ways. It was, I think, more of a cop drama than anything else. Of course, that's what everybody else would say, but the Predator action in it was pretty good, and the Predators movie did kick a lot of butt. So that's pretty much everything that's in canon with the whole Alien and Aliens franchise. I guess with a bit of the Predator and Prometheus too. Thank you for watching. Pick up some good comics, read some good books, and see some good movies. Please, I'll be enjoying a really good game. Thank you, and bye-bye.